Chelsea Football Club has been plunged into turmoil following the sensational dismissal of its goalkeeping coach, a figure who had been considered an important part of Enzo Maresca's newly assembled backroom team, after allegations surfaced that he was involved in betting activities in violation of strict football regulations, a revelation that has shaken both the squad and the global fan base. The story first broke late in the week when whispers began circulating that the Premier League's integrity and compliance officials were investigating a member of Chelsea's staff for irregular betting patterns connected to matches involving the club. But what started as rumour quickly snowballed into a full-blown scandal once evidence reportedly tied the coach to multiple online betting accounts registered under false or pseudonymous identities. Sources close to the situation claimed that these accounts had been used to place wagers on a range of outcomes, from goalkeeping errors to exact final scores, and, most alarmingly, even on the timing of substitutions, matters that someone in his position might plausibly have inside knowledge of. For a club of Chelsea's stature, which has worked hard to rebuild its image after years of transition, ownership changes, and turbulent seasons on the pitch, this revelation landed like a thunderclap, undermining confidence in the very fabric of the team's preparation and exposing vulnerabilities in the chain of trust that is supposed to bind players, staff, and management together. Reports indicated that the alarm was first raised by suspicious betting patterns, flagged to the Premier League by monitoring organisations who track gambling irregularities worldwide. The investigation narrowed down to someone within Chelsea, and eventually to the goalkeeping coach himself, whose activity was said to match precisely with confidential developments inside the club. For instance, bets were placed on whether a certain goalkeeper would start or be rested on weekends when minor injuries were being carefully concealed from the public. And shockingly, some wagers predicted tactical decisions about penalty shootouts in cup matches, details known only to a handful of staff. Such uncanny accuracy could not be explained away as mere coincidence, and investigators began digging deeper, unearthing banking records, phone logs, and IP addresses that suggested deliberate attempts to disguise involvement. Chelsea's hierarchy, from sporting directors to board members, quickly realised the magnitude of the storm and called an emergency meeting with Maresca and his technical staff at Cobham, the club's training ground. At that meeting, according to insiders, the atmosphere was tense and disbelief hung in the air, as the coach at the centre of the storm was asked to explain himself, but offered little more than vague denials, which quickly collapsed under the weight of mounting evidence. The decision was made then and there to suspend him, and by the following day, his termination was confirmed in writing, with Chelsea issuing a brief but firm statement to the media, affirming that the club does not tolerate breaches of integrity or violations of betting regulations under any circumstances. The sacking has far-reaching implications beyond one man losing his job. The role of a goalkeeping coach is often underestimated by outsiders, yet within the dressing room it is considered vital. He is the one who spends countless hours shaping the reflexes, positioning, and psychological resilience of the keepers, acting not only as a trainer, but also as a confidant and mentor. To discover that someone entrusted with that duty may have exploited his insider access for personal gain strikes at the heart of the team's spirit. Fans immediately flooded social media with a mix of outrage and despair, some suggesting that the coach's actions could explain dips in form from certain goalkeepers earlier in the season, while others warned against drawing players into guilt by association, insisting that responsibility must remain squarely on the staff member who betrayed the badge. Rival fans, predictably, seized the opportunity to mock Chelsea, with memes and sarcastic posts spreading across football forums. But the anger within the Chelsea faithful was deeper, tied to a sense of betrayal by someone who was supposed to embody professionalism and loyalty. Journalists covering English football have framed this incident within the wider debate about gambling's role in the sport. With betting companies sponsoring clubs, plastering their logos on shirts and advertising boards, and dominating TV broadcasts, the line between promotion and temptation becomes dangerously blurred. Critics argue that while players and staff are strictly prohibited from betting, the omnipresence of gambling culture around them creates an unhealthy environment. Chelsea's scandal, they suggest, is not just about one individual's poor choices, but also a symptom of a football ecosystem saturated with betting influences. Governing bodies like the FA and UEFA are now under pressure to review their policies, not just on enforcement, but also on education, to ensure that staff at every level fully understand the severe consequences of crossing the line. For the dismissed coach, the future looks bleak. A Premier League club publicly firing a staff member for betting violations essentially blacklists him from top-level football. Very few teams, if any, would risk the reputational damage of hiring him again. Beyond losing his Chelsea role, he now faces the possibility of an FA-imposed suspension or lifetime ban, along with financial investigations that could spill into legal proceedings. The collapse of his career has been described as both dramatic and tragic by pundits, who note that only weeks earlier, he was being praised for his work in sharpening the reactions of Chelsea's young keepers and helping the squad adapt to Maresca's philosophy of playing out from the back. That promising trajectory has now imploded, reduced to a cautionary tale told in hushed tones across training grounds in England and abroad. Meanwhile, Chelsea must deal with the fallout. The club has already begun the process of searching for a replacement, with names of respected goalkeeping coaches circulating in the press, and academy staff temporarily stepping in to fill the gap. Maresca, whose tenure is still in its early chapters, faces the delicate task of steadying the squad, ensuring that players are not distracted by the off-field scandal and reaffirming that the club remains united. In training sessions at Cobham, witnesses say Maresca has gathered the players together, stressing the importance of focusing on football and reminding them that Chelsea as an institution is bigger than any one individual. Goalkeepers in particular, who may feel shaken by the sudden loss of their mentor, are being given extra psychological support and encouragement, with senior players rallying around them. Ultimately, the scandal underscores the fragility of trust in modern football. Clubs operate like families, with tight-knit groups working behind the scenes to prepare for the spotlight of match day. And when even one person betrays that trust, the ripple effects can be enormous. Chelsea's decisive action to cut ties swiftly has been praised in some quarters as a demonstration of zero tolerance, though others have pointed out that it raises uncomfortable questions about how such misconduct went undetected until now. Supporters can only hope that this painful episode becomes a turning point, reminding everyone within the organisation of the values that must be preserved: honesty, loyalty, and respect for the game. For Chelsea, the road forward will involve more than replacing a coach. It will require rebuilding confidence, reinforcing internal safeguards, and proving once again that the club's legacy cannot be undone by the failings of one individual.